Hi, this is Dave from DaBelly, and we're at NAMM. We're in the Paul Reed Smith booth. We're going to talk to Brian Ewald. Hi, happy anniversary, happy 30th.
Thank you very much, thank you. So I figure what we'll do is start off at the very top of the tier here with the 30th anniversary Dragon. There's only 40 of these being made, very limited run. Actually, when I worked for PRS in 1992 for a year before I started working again with them. The 92 was the first year of the Dragon. The Dragon was inlaid just down the fingerboard only. Made subsequent years, the Dragons got fancier, moved around. The last Dragon that was made was at the 20th anniversary in '05. So it's been a while since there's been anything quite like it. But this is Paul's real masterpiece. Visually, sonically, it's one of the highest grade of curly maple top, spared no expense.
It's all complete inlay, it's not laminate or anything like that?
No, all complete inlay. I'm not exactly sure how many pieces are in this one. I'm sure that information is out there. I know a lot. I know it's a time-consuming process to do the inlay, and including with the fact that it's on a carve. When it was just on the fingerboard, I'm not personally a woodworker or an inlayer, but I can imagine it's a difficult job,
So with such limited edition, how can people get a hold of them?
Now that you would have to talk to a dealer. I don't know if talk to a PRS dealer in your area. I don't know if there's a waiting list, but on the sales end of it, there's somebody here who could definitely help you with that. But I'm sure if anybody has, is ready to make a purchase like that, it's probably, they'll find a way.
Is there a price point you can reveal here?
I don't actually know what the price point is. No, I don't think. Yeah, It's definitely more than I've ever spent on a guitar. I can tell you that for sure.
All right,
it's totally worth it. And the other, the past Dragons have all increased in value, and they're collectible pieces.
Exactly.
So
pieces of art. Very much so, pieces of art. Yes.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to the next spot.
Sounds great.
All right, we're going to take a look at the private stock now.
So the private stock is not as limited, obviously, as the Dragon, but it's the heirloom quality, spare no expense. There's both private stock collection guitars, which are guitars that Paul, as a builder, has decided, like, if I wanted to make this no compromise instrument, something like this McCarty single cut is a guitar that he's making as a limited run and as a collection. But the other side of private stock is really you can custom order anything you want. They've made mandolins, they made private stock basses, they've made double neck guitars, they've made acoustics. They have the private stock acoustic line. So if you can dream it up, they will make it, and not many people do that. Again, it's depending on what you want, the price tiers change, but they're the absolute top of no expense spared, all the best materials, and they're again some of probably the most sought after instruments in the line.
So you can certainly pick colors and so on. Do you have the ability to get into the pickup configurations and all that?
Anything you want. And every private stock is numbered. So every single guitar, more than just serial number, it has private stock number and each one is its own unique instrument.
Well, they're amazing. The finishes on the Paul Reed Smith are legendary. I mean, these guitars have always been beautiful instruments, and I think that's really what caught everybody's eye to start with.
Finish and playability and attention to detail and all those things that he's a guitar builder first and foremost, and he's constantly trying to figure out ways to improve upon his design. He's not resting and saying like, okay, I've made this guitar, let's move. If he can find something that will make it play or sound a little bit better, he will experiment with it until he's happy with it, and he will move forward with it.
Excellent.
So let's move along to the core models, what most people know as the PRS guitars, the guitar that started it.
Here we go. Okay, here we are over at the core line.
So the core guitars, this here is the guitar that started off for Paul, the Custom 24. That's kind of their flagship. It's always been their biggest seller. It's what most people think of when they think of a PRS, is the bird inlay, 24 fret trem, two humbucker guitar, and it's changed over the years. The pickup selectors, it's generally, it looks about the same. He's refined it over the years, but it's still the flagship guitar that started it all. This particular one is the 30th anniversary. It has the 30th anniversary birds with the double birds on the 12th fret. They did a line for the 20th anniversary also with a special inlay commemorating the 20 years, and it was very, very popular. So this is the custom 24 anniversary, 30th anniversary. There's also a custom 24 in the S2 line and the SE line, which we'll be looking at in a minute. So there are other versions of the custom 24, the S2 line, which is also made in Maryland, like all the others, handmade in Maryland, but a lower price point, and the SE line, which is even more affordable, which we'll take a look at those in a minute. But as you can see, the core line from hollow and semi-hollow body guitars, there's a lot of variety in pickups in the core line. This is the 513, the 408, which, this is Paul's guitar. The 408 is, I'm sure there's a 408, but same neck pickup, but the 408 has a wider bridge pickup. But again, constantly experimenting with ideas, changing the shape of the pickups, the pickup pattern, and this is a 5 individual pickup guitar with 13 different tones. It'll do true single coils, it will do vintage output humbuckers, and then full output humbucker where it taps the windings to get less output of the humbuckers or full output. So it's, looking, what might appeal to different players based on how versatile of a guitar you need. If you're a single tone rock guy and you just need a standard guitar with, a bridge and a neck pickup and no coil tap, or, if you want something that's, a little bit more, set to give you a lot of different options. There's also the P series guitars, the P22, P24, and the new P245, which have a piezo bridge pickup for very, very realistic sounding acoustic tones that you can blend in. Originally, that was only available on the hollow bodies, and then with the P line of guitars, they've introduced it into the solid body line too.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of a piezo pickup on a solid body. It's always been hollow body, acoustics.
And they even make one where it's the piezo is mounted into a trem. They have a P24 trem that sounds fantastic, and the trem works amazing. It's pretty cool to play a guitar with an acoustic sound and be able to dive bomb. I don't know how often that gets called for, but hey, it's out there now. You can do it.
Yeah, it's all possible. Sure.
So let's move over to the S2s.
Okay, here we are at the S2 line.
So S2 stands for Stevensville 2. Stevensville is a town in Maryland where all the guitars are made. Started in Annapolis. Paul was originally in Annapolis, but has been in Stevensville for over a decade now. So there's two kind of separate divisions of the S2 line. There's the ones that are typically aesthetically more like what people know as the PRS, the maple top, the flame maple top. The idea was to create a line of guitars that were handmade here in the States at the actual factory from the same workers, but bringing the price point down to again, when you're not compromising on build quality and not cutting any corners, it's hard to keep that price point down. So Paul has made his name as being like, I'm going to build the best guitar I can, and people are willing to pay for that. But there's also a lot of people who go, I would love to have one, but I can't quite manage it. So the idea of the S2 line was, how can they cut corners to bring down the build time and man hours without cutting quality? A couple things, the bevel of the guitars, even on the maple top ones, takes a lot less man hours to sand and finish than it does the violin carve. The way the neck is manufactured, cuts again without compromising any quality. They've found some ways to build them, cut down on the man hours. These particular guitars here obviously have a very different aesthetic than a lot of what people picture as a PRS. I personally play a Starla quite a bit, and this is one of my new favorite guitars that they've put out, the Mira semi-hollow. It definitely has more of a retro vintage aesthetic to it, and it's a guitar that may not appeal to somebody who wants that custom 24. Some guys like me like all guitars. Like to me, they're all great. So, but some people, that's what they're looking for. Other people would see that and go, it's beautiful, but this is more my style. But so opening up some guitars that appeal to a different type of player, different sounds. The Starla, as you can see, has a Bigsby on it. These pickups are really, really cool. You can really almost get acoustic sounds out of them. They take gain really well. They're really open and airy. I've brought my Starla out onto country gigs, rock gigs, anything, and it can take anything you throw at it. And this to me is another one that I get the demo a lot in a lot of these things, and every time I pick it up and play it, I'm like, well, I kind of want one of those. But the new line, some of the new guitars are the standards, the solid mahogany ones. A lot of the other ones have the maple top. It's a full maple top. It's not a laminate or anything. So it's just a different bevel as opposed to but just like they have the standard line and the core line, for somebody who wants a solid mahogany guitar, they made the standard line. They've added the pickguard to it, which really was an aesthetic decision. They will build these guitars and run tests of them and try different things until everybody agrees, like, this is what looks best on this particular instrument. It's not just, let's put the mahogany top and throw it out. It's there's a lot of time and care. And this is coming from somebody from the outside. I'm just a player who demos the stuff. I go in there a lot and I see them back and forth and laboring over, just even the slightest shape of the difference of a pickguard. Like, I'm sure this one little thing here probably took them 3 weeks to figure out what they're going to do. And it shows, like, it's, they don't have just one pickguard shape. Everyone has got its own kind of unique, style. And this, again, these guitars street for, I believe, around $11.99 and go up to like $14.99. And, for hand-built, PRS in the U.S. And they play and sound as good as anything else. They're just their own style.
We saw Paul on stage not 10 minutes ago, and he was talking about the playability of these guitars. We could just lift them right off the shelf and plug them in. It doesn't take an awful lot of time as far as setup or anything like that.
Well, one thing I learned in coming into the factory a lot and talking, some of the things that they do with drying the body wood out before it's finished, drying the necks and the body wood down to 6%, drying the fingerboards down, baking them down to 2%, helps solidify, crystallize the resins, and they play and sound like a guitar at its peak. Not like, 20 years it's going to sound good, but it also does things like if the neck is going to twist or the body's going to pancake, you'll find those things out then, as opposed to 20 years later. And I remember seeing a video of Paul one time in the factory with one of his necks set up on 2 wood blocks, and he's jumping up and down on it. And we've all owned guitars that you have to baby, that you're like, if you look at it wrong, the headstock's going to pop off. So we've all owned those guitars and heard horror stories of those happening. These things, I've seen Paul carry his around in a gig bag, like his, and most people would think, oh no, you got to put it in a case, but it's, they're sturdy, you're not gonna hurt it, and they're taken on planes and all that stuff, and you pull it out of a box and it's set up the way it was in the factory. The frets don't pop out because the fingerboards are already dry, and everything's glued in. Speaking of which, it's a good way to get us over into the SE line, which all these things that we're talking about, drying the body woods down, gluing all the frets and doing all these things on the guitars that they make overseas. Those were all things that were a necessity, that when Paul went over there and said, we're going to find a partner in building these guitars with us, most people said, you're crazy, we're not going to, that's too much work to get inspired, until he found somebody that they were able to partner with. And so all those aspects of, the quality control and the things that he's not willing to compromise on translate all the way into the under $1,000 SE line too.
Let's go take a look at it.
Right.
All right, so here we are over at SE. Let's take a look at the 30th anniversary edition.
So this is the SE version of the Custom 24 that we looked at before. Again, with the double birds on the 12th fret. There's also a Custom 24 in the S2 line. And again, so there's a price point depending on, if you need a guitar under $1,000, to fit in your budget, or you're, a student and you're just starting, and obviously, buying a core guitar is a not necessarily a first guitar for most people. So, now Paul is building a guitar, but with all the quality that you're going to find in the core line and the S2 line. So as you can see with the S2s, again, there's a wide product line. We have S2 acoustics and some new ones coming out. The S2 basses are new since 2014, and again, bringing in new instruments. It started originally with the Santana model, was the first S2, and it's come a long way. If you've seen the original Santana, again, trying to bring it into a different price point, and then as time went on, they were able to expand the product line. Some of these have been very popular for them. I own a few myself, and great. Again, never have to worry about them. I take them out to gigs, put them in a gig bag, put them on a plane. I've never had an issue with it pulling out of a box, and its neck is rock solid and straight.
So made in Asia, but the same quality and aesthetic is for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, so they're made in Korea at a place called World Music Instruments, and if you look at the back of the headstock of any of these, it says that on there. They spent a lot of time finding the right partner. As I was saying in the S2 line, they had a lot of things that were, this actually was a predecessor to the S2. It started off after the core. They started here with bringing the price point in with the original Santana. But again, not willing to compromise with the things like drying the body wood, drying the neck wood, gluing in the frets, like all the things that typically you're not going to find on imported guitars, and a lot of times don't find in American-made guitars. But when Paul found World Music Instruments, they partnered up, and they're very proud of saying, we want you to put your name on this guitar too. It's not just a Paul Reed Smith. We partner with you. Their name is on the back. They take pride in that. Every single one of these guitars comes through the Maryland factory. There's a team of, I believe, 4 guys who take every single one out of the bag, out of the case, check it over, check set it up, check the string height, check the pickup height, make sure that when it goes out to the store, it's ready to play. So it's not just coming overseas straight to the stores. And like I said, they're as the quality control is as good as anything else. It's just depending on what your price range is. And now the S2 offers something right there in the middle. As a step, if you buy this and can't quite get to the other one yet, you can buy an S2 version of it made in the U.S. and save your paper route money, and then you'll have that.
Yeah, it's going to be a big paper route.
Yeah, that's how I bought my first guitar.
Yeah, perfect. It all works. All right, we've looked at the guitar lines. Now we're going to hear a little bit about it. So let's cut away for a moment. We'll be right back. All right, here we are on stage with Brian. We're going to take a look at the Custom 30th 24.
Yeah, so here we have again with the 30th anniversary double birds. But again, it's the flagship guitar, the guitar that started it all. 5-way blade switch gives you both humbucking sounds and single coil sounds. So I'll just kind of run through. Right now I'm running through the 2-channel Custom 50, 50 watt with a 212 cabinet. So right now I'm on the lead channel, but great, like open, airy top end, just rolling the volume down. Crank the volume up, and it nice and punchy. So just a huge variety of tones. What the Custom 24 has always been known for. Again, these guitars were just shipped straight here, pulled out of the box. They all play perfectly. I mean, it's set up as if it just came from a luthier, and from shipping, and you pull it out of the box, and it feels like $1 million.
Here we are with the Mirror S2.
Yeah, so this is the S2 Mirror. The Mirror is only available in the S2 line, and this is the newest one, the semi-hollow, which again, this is one of my favorite ones. Personally, I love the way it feels and plays. 22 fret, 3-way toggle switch. All the S2 line has. The tone pot is push-pull. Even the 4-knob guitar has both tone pots, so you can split the coils separately. Again, this one just cleans up beautifully, even with tons of gain. Just cleans up so nicely, even with plenty of gain on tap. you can even, with a single coil sound. It's super versatile guitar, and with this slight chamber, even the mirror by itself is pretty lightweight, but this one is so balanced, super lightweight, just a super comfortable guitar. Again, made in Maryland, same factory as all the core line, and this one streets for well under $1,500.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Thank you.
Thank you.